Every time you type a question into ChatGPT, something impossible seems to happen. Out of millions of possible words it could choose next, it somehow writes a sentence that feels surprisingly human. Not every time, of course. Sometimes it makes mistakes. But often enough, it predicts the very next word you'd expect to read. Here's the mystery. ChatGPT doesn't think like a person. It doesn't search its memory the way you do. It doesn't understand language the way your brain does. So, how can a machine that only works with mathematics produce conversations that feel almost alive? Stickman decided to investigate. He found himself standing in front of a gigantic wall covered with every book, article, website, and conversation imaginable. So this is ChatGPT's library? He wondered. But then a strange message appeared. Wrong clue. The books slowly faded away, leaving behind nothing but numbers. Thousands, then millions, then billions of them. That was the first surprise. To a computer, words are never really words. Before ChatGPT can read hello, mathematics, or pizza, each word must first become a number. It's like assigning every word a secret ID card so the machine can process it. Stickman thought he had solved the mystery. Easy, he said. It just remembers which numbers belong to which words. But the wall flashed red. Not enough. If words were only IDs, then the sentences, "The cat chased the dog" and "The dog chased the cat" would look almost identical. Same words, completely different meaning. Something much deeper had to be happening. Then another clue appeared. Every word transformed into a point floating inside an enormous invisible space. Similar words drifted close together. King floated near queen. Apple hovered closer to banana than to airplane. Stickman realized these weren't ordinary numbers anymore. They were coordinates. Every word had been translated into dozens, hundreds, sometimes thousands of numerical dimensions. This mathematical trick is called an embedding. Instead of storing what a word is, it stores how a word relates to every other word. Suddenly, language had become geometry. But geometry alone couldn't explain the conversations. Stickman watched the sentence. The earth revolves around the appear on the screen. Thousands of possible next words floated into view. Moon, sun, table, banana. Which one should ChatGPT choose? Surely it couldn't check every sentence it had ever seen. There had to be another mathematical clue. That's when probability entered the investigation. ChatGPT doesn't know the future word with certainty. Instead, it assigns every possible next word a probability, a mathematical estimate of how likely each one is based on everything that came before. Imagine thousands of tiny percentage labels floating above every candidate. Most are almost zero. A few are surprisingly high. Sun might receive a huge probability. Banana, almost none. The model isn't guessing randomly. It's making the best prediction it can using mathematics. Stickman smiled. So ChatGPT is just an advanced autocomplete. The room went silent. Then another hidden door opened. Close, the message read, but still incomplete. Behind the door stood an enormous network of connected circles and lines. Information flowed through it like electricity. This was a neural network. Each connection carried a number called a weight. During training, these weights are adjusted again and again. Every time the model predicts the wrong word, mathematics measures the error. Then, calculus, the same subject many students fear, calculates how each weight should change to make the next prediction slightly better. Tiny improvements, repeated billions of times, gradually teach the network patterns hidden inside language. Stickman watched one prediction improve after another. At first the answers were nonsense. Then they became readable. Then surprisingly accurate. No one manually programmed grammar, jokes, analogies, or explanations. Those abilities emerged because the mathematics kept minimizing prediction errors across enormous amounts of text. The network wasn't memorizing conversations, it was discovering statistical patterns woven through human language itself. Now the final mystery remained. Why does ChatGPT sometimes seem to understand what we're asking? The answer is both surprising and humbling. It doesn't possess human consciousness or feelings. Instead, it has become extraordinarily good at recognizing patterns. And mathematics is the language of patterns. Every sentence you type becomes numbers. Every number interacts through linear algebra. Every prediction is guided by probability. Every improvement comes from calculus. Underneath every clever response lies an astonishing collaboration between some of the most powerful ideas in mathematics. Stickmin looked back at the blinking cursor. It no longer seemed magical. Somehow, that made it even more amazing. The conversations weren't powered by invisible intelligence. They were powered by equations working together at a scale almost impossible to imagine. The next time ChatGPT finishes your sentence, remember what you're really witnessing. Not a machine reading minds, but mathematics predicting patterns so well that it almost feels like magic. And that's the beautiful secret of mathematics itself. It's never about memorizing formulas. It's about discovering the hidden structures beneath the world we experience every day. We've solved one mystery today, but mathematics is hiding thousands more in the technology you use without even noticing. If you're ready for the next investigation, there's another secret waiting just beneath the surface.